Are we? All right, everybody, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started with our meeting this morning. I just wanted to draw your attention to your packet that you have. The committee report from last year, the last year's interim committee report is included in your packet. So if you want to review it to see what we did last year, the first page, of course, the gray box is a summary, and then the packet's also available on the JCIT committee page. So as you look through that later today or in the next couple of weeks, we'll want to continue to kind of think about other issues and ideas that we want to talk about this year. So, and we'll bring those up. So, welcome everybody back from summer. I guess we still are in summer according to the weather outside, but this is my first time back here to Topeka, I think, for several months. So, I guess it's good to be back. But welcome everybody, and we are going to start off with an update from the judicial branch. Kelly O'Brien. Kelly. Okay, we have someone else. Okay, can you introduce yourself?
Okay, now? Great. Good morning, Chairman Hoffman and members of the committee. My name is Ann Madden Johnson, and I'm the Director of Information Services at the Office of Judicial Administration. Thank you for this opportunity to bring you an update on where we are with the statewide implementation of the centralized case management system, Odyssey. You'll see from the written testimony that we recently completed Track 10, so we now have 103 counties on the system. On April 3rd, we brought up the counties of Douglas, Shawnee, and Wyandotte, and we added about another 400 users and doubled the caseload on the system. I'm happy to say that we had a very successful and smooth go live, and the system has performed well since then. Right now, the focus is on Sedgwick County. Their go live is planned for Monday, August the 7th. So that's just around the corner. We just wrapped up 5 weeks of end user training with the district court, and we are now in what we call week 0, the week before go live, wrapping up the final countdown tasks and things to do for the final data extract and getting ready for the final data push into the system. Also, similar to previous go lives, e-filing and e-payments for Sedgwick County will be turned off at noon today. They will start taking paper filings and check payments from today through this Thursday. On Friday, August the 4th, the court is planning to be closed to the public so they can complete some of their internal tasks. Then on Friday at 5 o'clock, we will take down the case management system for the whole state, and Tyler will begin pushing the final data push of Sedgwick data into the system. On Monday, August the 7th, the system will be back up for the state, and Sedgwick will be live on the case management system, Odyssey. Excuse me. Also, during this first week of go live, there will be a number of staff and leadership from both OJA and Tyler present on premise in person to help the court with their to help the court get acclimated to the new system. Also want to point out that recognize the long hours and hard work that both the OJ teams and the district court staff have put in to get their court ready for this go live. We're feeling very confident that this work is going to pay off, and we are expecting another smooth go live. We also want to point out that we've spent a number of hours working with the Sedgwick County DA's office and working with their integrations between the CCMS Odyssey and their case management system as well. We plan to continue working with them even after the go live to continue making sure those integrations work seamlessly and to continue to enhance those. We also, after go live, will be continuing work that we started with both the Sedgwick County and Shawnee County Sheriff's offices to complete integrations between the Odyssey CMS and the Tyler Sheriff products that those sheriff departments own. After Sedgwick is done, the focus will be on the two remaining courts to complete the statewide implementation. Those courts will be the appellate courts and the last district court, the 10th Judicial District, Johnson County. After that, we'll be done with the statewide implementation, and we'll be very excited to be complete with the project. we appreciate everybody's patience and assistance in helping us get this far. That is the update I have for the moment. Is there anything else I can answer?
All right. Anyone have any questions? Yeah, Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wondering, when do you expect for the whole implementation? What's your projected timeline? When do you
We
think?
expect Johnson County to come online in 2024. So by the end of 2024, the statewide implementation should be complete.
And that'll be everybody, including the appellate courts.
That's correct.
And then just one additional question. So once all that happens, what are the additional capacities or efficiencies that you expect to see?
We expect when Sedgwick, you mean like for the caseload and users and everything? Okay, so when Sedgwick comes online, we expect that to be about what we just put on for Track 10. So the equivalent of what we just did for Douglas, Wyandotte, and Shawnee. So Sedgwick is about the equivalent of that. So, and then Johnson County will be the equivalent of that as well. So we've, I don't have the actual numbers in front of me. We just know kind of those estimates. So we're projecting that out for our system, and we are already prepared for that. And we have system in reserve also just to throw in if we needed to add resources. So the system is behaving very well. It's performing very well. We've done a number of things to also just double check, make sure that everything is in a good place. We've also worked with consultants to, again, just double check that we're in a good place and that we've been able to do some stress testing on it. And, you know, again, just make sure that we are performing as well as we can and we're ready for this additional load, both now and in the future.
Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. So of course, I've heard from a couple constituents that aren't happy about the system or the mandate. And what happens when the system's down? Are they completely at a standstill, much like other systems?
If the system is, I guess it depends on what you mean by if the system is down. If the system's experiencing some challenges or some errors or things, yes, it would be. Again, depending on what the situation is, it's hard to describe it without knowing an exact scenario.
Well, I've heard that there's not contingency plans for when the system is down and that their work will be at a standstill. I have a couple of lawyers that are extremely upset that they're being mandated to transition to the system. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and again, it just depends on the type of situation. When we prepare for those types of things when they happen, and so that we can switch over and you know again just kind of address the situation and fix it. If it's something that you know takes out Topeka or something, we have disaster recovery where we have another site set up in Johnson County, and we can switch over to that. So again, I just wasn't sure if you meant like a smaller thing that's something impacting for a couple of hours or something that's a major thing. So thank you.
Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for the presentation. Seems like a good rollout, good standardization. I know change is tough. I will say I'd hope we learn from when Wyandotte we had some shutdowns. I think a year ago when we had some downages, and hopefully the whole state can learn from some of the disaster recovery efforts that went through on that. What I was going to ask about is, I know it's not, you don't mandate this across the state as a judicial branch, but I was wondering if we could get some insight into how many courts are actually using remote hearings and things like that, Zoom inside the courts. I know that in some courts they've chosen not to, some courts they have. And I was just wondering if maybe, and there's no rush, but I'd just like to know the state of how the courts are adopting that as a practice and how many of them are kind of going back to the way things were before the pandemic. I'd really appreciate that.
Sure. No, I'll get that information for you. I don't have it right now. I know that there is a mix of it, like you said. But yes, we can find out that information and bring that back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Yeah, Representative Turner.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. You said that the project, Representative Curtis asked when it was going to end in 24 is the end. Is that what the original plan was, or how are we performing on the original?
I'll be honest. I'm only about a year and a half into my tenure here at the Judicial Center, so I don't know exactly what the time was before. I can find that out though for you.
I just wondered. I see only timing. I don't see any cost performance. Do you have any idea how you've done on?
Kelly, would you like to?
Budget?
Yeah, I'll let of Kelly come up and
Sorry, I've been out for a few weeks, so we let Ann do this. She's doing great. I'm
introduce
Kelly
yourself.
O'Brien. I'm the Chief Information Technical Officer for the Judicial Branch. I apologize, I'm not dressed to speak to you. In regards to timing, no, timing is we're behind. We had COVID. And then with Johnson County was not part of the original group. They were going to stay on gyms, and about a year and a half after we started, they decided that the court part of gyms was going to transition in. So we're a little far behind as far as cost. No costs have changed in regards to the delay. So that we're was basically a fixed cost project. So none of that. Now, to be fair, if you look, there have been some enhancements that we've asked for that may have cost a little bit more, but they're as far as the timing stuff, nothing really. So does that answer it?
Yeah, so you're saying that it started in 19 pre-COVID, and it looks
Yeah.
like it was clicking along the various tracks going in, but yet I didn't know what the original timeline was.
Yeah, the original timeline probably was we were supposed to be finished last year at some point with Sedgwick, and then again, like I said, it's hard to tell. I could go back and look at the math, but COVID put us behind about a year. I think is a pretty safe estimate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And 19 was when you guys started doing the rollout, but this has been a lot longer than 19, if I remember. I can't remember when the first time Chief Justice Nuss brought it up in his.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
It's been a while. I mean, the contract negotiation took a long time to try to come to an agreement with Tyler on how to do that, and then just preparing to go live was a year and a half process. I mean, trying to build the system. What they give you, just if not to get too detailed, they just give you a bare bones thing that we had to build and make it, Kansas ready by Kansas law and Kansas statutes and all of that, and try to put that in there, and that takes some time. So yeah, it's been around for a while for sure. I've been over here talking. I can't wait till I can talk to you all about something else. So yeah, I'll love that day.
I, it's got to be close. It's not maybe 10 years, but it's got to be getting close to that.
Yeah, probably it's over 5 for sure. Probably about 7, 6, 7.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
right.
something like that. So, my question would be is as we finish this rollout now, is there going to be anything that's going to have to be then done to go back? I mean, or updates,
Oh yeah,
things like that. But will they be pretty well just routine and not a big issue of rollouts and all that?
yeah. No, we won't have to do implementation, but there's going to be updates, and some of the updates will be substantial, and will have to be planned and project out. No, again, no cost. There's time associated with that. What we won't have to do is get the buy-in anymore, right? I mean that's been a big the change management has been a huge part of this, and not only from the court perspective, but as Senator Tyson pointed out, from our stakeholders as well, which we refer to as our attorneys or law enforcement, DAs, whatever it is. I mean, to manage that group has been a task, and one, frankly, that probably caught me a little bit by surprise. We knew change would be hard. I did not realize how hard. And I've spent a lot of time, as has Ann and as has the court and others, with these stakeholders, trying to get them comfortable. I mean, that's that. But to answer your question, we'll have to upgrade, but we won't have to do that piece of it anymore. because the change of that won't happen. So we intend to be with Tyler for a long time.
Okay.
So
And going back to Senator Tyson's question to a little bit, if there is if there is problems, if for some reason a particular area or even the whole state is unable to, it goes down for some reason, is there a plan to be able to go to paper or
oh, absolutely.
anything like that?
We have redundancy built into the system. We continue to try to improve that. Right now, it would take us a few hours to switch over. We're working on the network and the different layers of the network. Again, not to get too into detail, but that all costs money to where it'd be an automatic switch over. We have redundancies in other locations. What Senator Tyson's talking about, I'm positive, is the public access part of this, which about a month and a half ago, we were having a lot of trouble with. And what happened was when we turned on our track 10, those big courts, when we turned on Wyandotte, Shawnee, and Douglas, all of a sudden data miners and bots got really interested in our system. When we had the rest of the state on, they weren't all that concerned. But when we put them on, all of a sudden they got really, really interested in our system. And frankly, they overwhelmed us. And we have since put in a number of things in place where bots, where they're not hitting us anymore. Well, they may be hitting us, but they're not. They can't get to the system. And that we have not had an outage or any downtime on the portal for over about 2 months now. And so I'm sure that's because frankly, the portal is very important to our stakeholders. It's how they do their business with the court. Instead of having to call the clerk, they do their business through the portal. So when that's down, that is problematic. And but we do feel like we resolved that issue.
Representative Haskins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the presentation. And I was just kind of follow up with what the chair was asking about, and I want to talk about the updates. So this project began in 2019. Is that what I heard? Or when the installs in 2019? And so when this finish will be 2024? Okay, so that's 5 years. Are we updating as we are moving along? Because I would think that would be something that we would need to do as well. And how has that impact been?
We've been providing like patches and upgrades along the way. So patching and upgrading doing the normal system updates and data updates and the application updates along the way. So things that we needed to do along the way, we've just been keeping those up. So we haven't, it's not, it's not stale. It's not, it's not behind the times on the security patches and things. So then we would be looking forward to the next upgrade. So the next version upgrades is what we would be focusing on next for updating the system itself.
And so with those version upgrades, is there a licensing agreement in which we have to?
There's I'm sorry.
No, that was my question.
There's an evergreen agreement in the contract, so we don't pay for those upgrades. So we just have to perform them ourselves. So we would plan them out. We work with Tyler to to plan them and to get them in place. But no, there's no charge or no additional. It's nothing that we additionally purchase.
Okay, and that's great. And the last thing is something that's just said about the stakeholders, and that once the project is completed, that updates wouldn't be related to, getting feedback. It seemed like feedback from stakeholders, but to me that seems a little bit counterintuitive because the users are the ones that are also giving us feedback. Was that a misquote, or is that something that's? Could you explain a little bit more about how once we have the project updates, we won't be getting feedback from them?
So you're talking about like the external stakeholders with our justice partners who use the portal?
Yeah, I mean, stakeholders seem to be pretty broad, both from citizens as well as lawyers and everyone else. And it sounds like, well, once the project is up, we're just going to update it for security purposes, things that we identify, but not necessarily because every time you roll out a new version, having done that, there's going to be user issues.
Okay,
He's talking about when I said we won't have to.
Yeah, that's
right.
yeah.
We'll still certainly.
Kelly, if you can come up to the mic,
Yeah.
please.
Sorry.
We'll still certainly communicate with our stakeholders, train the stakeholders,
Okay.
and be part of it. The point I was trying to make is just why are you taking away ink from us and making us do this?
Yeah, sure.
That question I won't have to wrestle with.
Okay, yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the update.
Great, thank you.
I wanted to go back to just remind everybody that there's also the minutes from the previous meeting are in